Yeah, my name is Jim Hallbeisen, and this is my opinion.
Today we have Gerald Hursh, who farms in Lancaster County, Pennsylvania, but today he's actually in Western Kentucky with a church group, and they're doing some work in areas down there that have had tornado damage in the past, and now they have flood damage. So what we're going to do is talk a little bit about some of the damage that he's seeing down there, but we're going to start. One thing I want to talk a little bit about is we've received a tremendous number of calls in the office here about frost protection. And if you go back several videos prior to this one, we had talked about frost protection and the ability of the growers' mineral solutions to help farmers with fruits and vegetables both. I've had calls on strawberries, I've had calls on peach trees, I've had calls on apple trees, and that temperature is kind of reflecting itself today and supposedly again tomorrow morning, and that's gone fairly far south, southern Missouri. We're also in southern Illinois, southern Indiana with some very cold temperatures. So that particular podcast, we have guys that were asking about rates and how to approach it. And so we gave them the best advice that we thought they could use. And so that's something that if you still have interest, you can view that podcast, and it'll give you some ideas of how to use the growers' mineral solutions to work in that kind of stress situation. But today, I want to have Gerald talk a little bit about the golden land of Lancaster County. And Gerald has been around the product for several years, actually raised with the product. And he does a fair amount of custom work, custom spraying. And he has a connection where he is applying a fair amount of nitrogen besides spraying that he does with growers' mineral solutions. And there's an article in our early fall solution about the silent war on nitrogen. He gave me some very good ideas about that and his experience with purchasing a nitrogen. So that's something that we would like to talk a little bit about. But I want Gerald to talk a little bit about the grower's product and the grower's program and tell you where he lives and exactly what he does on his farm. And then we'll talk a little bit about, he sent us a picture of the severe flooding that's down in Western Kentucky where he's at. We'll chat a little bit about that later in the podcast. So Gerald, go ahead and introduce yourself and talk about what you'd like to talk about.
Yeah, Jim, you had it about right there, I would say. Lancaster County does look pretty good. Lancaster County, Pennsylvania, where I'm from. We're hoping to get into fields when I get back. My son-in-law are doing some at this point, but I hope to get back to help them next week. It will be a while before they do anything like that here in like Arlington and Crofton, Kentucky. We're in Dawson Springs right now. Our church group has been involved here for the last, since the tornadoes in December of 2021. 2024, they had another tornado cross through Dawson Springs, hit some of the same people again. And then we came down in Thursday, Friday, driving down, heavy rain all the way here. And they were having rain before we got here. And yeah, they got 10 to 20 inches of rain through a fairly wide area. And it did come over several days, so it could have been worse. But yeah, they do have some flooding. Same place the tornado hit. So now we're shifting gears a little in what we're doing here with cleaning out some places today. So they have the same temperatures here. Looks like they're going to have frost tonight, freezing temperatures. And how we do with We don't have to wait. We have a product we could use today, and to our advantage on our crops that may be trying to bud, and then as cold temperatures come, we might be able to help ourselves quite a bit. Depends how cold it gets. They're talking 25 maybe in our area in Lancaster County, Pennsylvania. Probably about 4 degrees warmer than that here tomorrow. But yeah, it's going to be cold here too. Using the product since I ever knew anything. I didn't know what dry fertilizer was until, we had a corn planter that you could put dry fertilizer on. I did try it one time with ammonium sulfate and some other things mixed together. But we only did it one time. I didn't feel that it was an advantage to use that over what we were doing with growers on a row. And I did get some people using it from damage done on some steep slopes where the corn planter dropped the 2x2, wasn't quite 2x2, and got in a row and didn't do the corn any favors on germination. So that one fella, he bought growers because of a bad experience with the dry. And so not saying it doesn't work. There's people who use dry, people use growers and others. And but growers has some things going for it with the micronutrients in there. It's ready, and then when you don't use everything, you can put it on, spray it on your same thing on your fruit trees and what have you. If you're equipped with an air blast sprayer or a knapsack sprayer, if you don't have a lot of trees, that works too. So I don't know, Jim, did I hit anything you liked yet, or?
One thing, the concentration on the spraying, I've been telling guys when they're spraying by hand to try to stay in that 100-to-1 ratio. We find that to be a very safe ratio. Guys that have experience with hand spraying can go more concentrated. But the guys that are using machines, basically, we talk a couple gallon per acre. And the one thing that we have learned is the more you get on earlier in the cycle, the better protection is going to be. Some guys want to come in, the day of the frost, and you can do some of that. But really, if you've had it on for a couple weeks, that'll help protect a tree to a deeper temperature, a longer period of time, because of the buildup in the plant itself.
Yeah, that's a good point, Jim. That is exactly right. The day before is when we think about it, but we probably ought to every year, get out there. Oh, the forecast looks good. Trees are doing their thing, and get it on. And then when it looks like the forecast is going to dip, get it on a second time. And again, with the knapsack or that type of 12-volt hand sprayer, keeping that ratio 1 to 100 and is a good thing, along with knowing what kind of water you're using. I just simply tell people, use rainwater. It seems to be the best option that works every time.
Yeah, that's a very, very good point. The reaction between high TDS water and the growers can be problematic. One thing I'd like you to talk a little bit about is the use of high calcium lime on your farm and what you see there in Lancaster County. And you guys have been at that quite a while.
That's right. Our farm where we're at, where my son is now on, is in the early 60s was the first lime that got put on there. So the lime that I put on is not so much compared to what my dad would have applied. Mm-hmm. And we had a lot of good sources of the lime in Lancaster County. A lot of them come from York County, but not far away. Trucking is minimal. We didn't put as much on as my dad would have, but our base saturation is probably high 80s, low 90s on all our fields. And the fellow that's trying to do the crop consulting sends a letter still in the spring early, kind of like a quick, desperate, like no lime needed. He always sends that letter. He thinks that I might try to do that,
Yeah.
and he's very scared that something's going to happen negatively. And what we're told and what happens when you put too much lime on. I believe there are some kinds of lime you can get too much on, especially if you run a little bit higher number in mag. You start putting it on by the tons, you can run yourself in trouble pretty fast. So that is one thing, guys call and say, hey, we got a base saturation is 64, and it really, the pH is good, but it calls for high mag lime. We just had a call the other day, my dad did, and he said, hey, who's bringing that lime? And it was damp lime, and that's where the guy gets it, and that's what it is. And I'm not sure how Dad made out, but we try to steer away from that, especially when you're starting to put 2, 3, 4 tons. You start having too much mag, you start having a lot of problems coming on, and that will make the pH high.
Some of those fields, Gerald, that your dad started on back in the 60s, and, you guys have gone out. What kind of rotation do you use? In other words, a lot of growers, guys, say you get a ton per acre per year. And guys that have been with us for 50 years, some of these fields have got 50 ton on them. And do you think you have some of that case in your operation?
We absolutely do. I put on when it suits me, and when I think of it, or say I have a pile I'm trying to clean up, we may mix. We had gotten some compost one time. We mixed with it. I got some gypsum, drywall gypsum one time because my pile was very wet. Tried to mix it together, get a little bit better spread. That's sort of wistful thinking. The best thing is sunshine and spread the pile out, get it the right moisture and spread. And I probably put more like 2 ton on every 4 years. That's probably, as far as rotation, we I don't know if you would call it the best rotation, but what we're doing is wheat following corn, and then soybeans following that wheat in the same year, double crop, and then corn again following this soybean. So we have 2 fields basically. 1 year it's wheat.
One thing that I don't want to interrupt, but one thing so I don't forget. There's a lot of guys asking me about mixing lime with compost. How do you do that? I mean, do you do a scoop of one, a scoop of the other? What's your protocol when you mix that compost and that lime together?
By what's available at hand. So, and a little practice when you were a boy in the sandbox with your Tonka probably is the best training to get it right. So
sure.
So.
Yeah, no, very good. That was one thing. Another thing that with you, Gerald, I'd like you to comment a little bit about. I wrote this article about the silent war on nitrogen, the establishment talking about green ammonia and changing the way nitrogen is made. When we were talking this spring about buying nitrogen for the season, you were commenting on how usually the price of nitrogen follows the price of fuel. And they were kind of divergent this year, which you said was very unusual. I've talked to several guys about that, and they're kind of interested in that. What's your opinion of what you see? Are they both back together, or is nitrogen still exceeding fuel price, in your opinion?
Well, at this point, since probably about last week this time, I would say the fuel price came up and got closer to the nitrogen price. But usually if fuel moves, nitrogen moves the same direction, maybe a little later. I think, well, there's a lot we don't know with what is going on with fuel. Seeing it jump 30 cents, 40 cents in 1 or 2 days in our area there, Lancaster County, Pennsylvania. We came down here to Kentucky, and it hadn't moved yet. I was surprised. I don't know that it moved yet down here, unless it was already that much lower. The gas price, the fuel price is lower in Kentucky because of Pennsylvania's higher tax rate. But the gas price, we came down here, we could buy gas for less than we ever bought it at home. I don't know. I'm thinking everything is going to move up from here into planting. And I mean, we're not far from planting, actually, although it does seem far with all the water here in Kentucky. But I don't think we're going to see nitrogen stay the same or go down until more like June 1st.
I got you.
So,
okay. Another thing with you, I'd like you to comment a little bit about, and I always enjoy that when I'm with you and your dad, is talking about the price of farm ground. Guys around the country just think that, they've got the premium on price of farm ground. But I said, man, you need to go to Lancaster County to get educated. Just talk a little bit about that, Gerald. I don't want you to depress guys, but I want you to kind of educate them a little bit about what's happening there when you get closer to population centers.
Well, to educate them is stay away from Lancaster County because it's not going to help us on price. So price is one thing. The land is not what supports our farms. It is our livestock, our chickens, largely chickens, dairy. Right now, the fellows that are fattening beef are really happy. Although when they come to buy stock or cattle, it's
yeah, different.
That's a challenge now because it's been high so long. But the price of land locally, price of land just lately, 100-acre farm for $40,000 an acre, that would be a deal. Smaller farms like, less than 50 acres, 45 acres, we've seen neighbors pay, high 60s, thousand per acre. And not that spectacular of buildings of any kind on it. That was probably the highest. The other thing is, so you want to build something? That's a problem in Lancaster County. Down here in Kentucky, the lay of the land here in western Kentucky is not way different than parts of Lancaster County. A little bit more rolling, maybe. A little more woods on the edges. A little more swamp ground here and there. But you want to do something with your farm, build a chicken house, expand your barn or whatever. Not so many people get involved. A lot easier to do things. So, yeah, I look at that as almost more of a deterrent than just the land price.
Sure, I understand. One last thing before we let you go is chat a little bit about bird flu. Everywhere we go where there's chickens, there's bird flu, and they're totally decimating these herds. What do you see in Lancaster County as far as bird flu is concerned?
It's around. It's been there. Close neighbor had it. Probably the way the crow flies, less than a mile. And we didn't get it. I thought, sure, we're going to get it. We have laying hens with roosters for hatching eggs. And I figured, yeah, this is it. We're still at it. That was, I don't know, 2.5 months ago, and no problems yet. So there's other places in Lancaster County here and there. I don't have it figured out. I delivered fertilizer down in Delmarva. Same story there. Some of them in Delmarva seem to think it doesn't happen to the young ones because the temperature is too high. When they start the chicks, they like, especially in the broiler situation, is what pretty much all of Delmarva is. Delaware, Maryland, Eastern Shore. They're all producing broilers, and I thought that was interesting. They don't think they get it until after they're at least 4 weeks old, when their temperature is cooler. So I don't know. That was one thing I thought was interesting. Other than that, I don't know much why and how.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, very good. Okay, appreciate it. I'd like you to make one last comment for our fellow farmers that are watching or listening. How do you feel about what you see there in Western Kentucky? What should other farmers be thinking about when you see the kind of damage these guys are dealing with that heavy rainfall? It just, like you say, it's going to be a while before they go to the field, but man, they've got a lot of damage to fix, mud to move. So what does your fellow farmer need to know about these guys out there, what they're dealing with?
Well, you have my sympathy, but what I can do is I feel pretty small. And, what we can do, main focus here was residential, trying to get people a roof over their head because of the tornado. Now this, flood damage. Now all these farmers, they're going to need to wait. They're going to need to wait. Although their fields are, they have spots that are higher, some that are lower. They're probably going to have to divide fields up a little bit, and it depends. The sun's shining nice here, and it's maybe 55, 60 degrees. Pretty nice air, but full sunshine, this helps. I don't know what to say.
No, you did a fine job.
Farmsteads, I don't know. Cattle, I don't know that, they really had, I don't know, to what extent, loss. This was sort of a industrial here, where in Dawson Springs, Kentucky, where I'm at now. And that is more, the flooding looked like largely, like industrial end of things, what got hit.
Sure. Okay, sir. Hey, I appreciate it, Gerald. Nice job. I'm glad we made the contact. We were a little worried about the coverage down there, cell phone coverage, but turned out very good. I appreciate it immensely. Take care of yourself.
Yep. Thank you, Jim.
This podcast has been brought to you by Growers Mineral. Please visit growersmineral.com.